In this video, we're going to talk about sketching the graph of the derivative of a function from the graph of the original function. So in other words, I've got the function y equals f of x graphed here, and I want us to graph f prime of x. All right, so the derivative, f prime of x, remember that's what gives us the slope of f of x. So what we need to do is figure out the slope of this graph at every point feasible. Well, part of it I think is fairly simple. You've got a horizontal line right here, and the slope of a horizontal line is 0. So the slope of the line all the way through here is 0, right? Now, we're fortunate in that all the parts of this graph are made up of just lines. So we can figure out the slope of a line pretty easily. The slope of this line segment is, well, let's see, if we think of including that point, the slope would be the delta y over the delta x, which would be 2 over 2, which is 1. So the slopes of this part are all 1. Now we've got this one remaining part, and that slope looks a little bit more challenging. Let's see. It looks like maybe, well, it looks like maybe this point. Oh, well, let's just try this point and that point. So in going from here to here, the delta y would be -2. So the slope, again, is delta y over delta x. And as we go from this point to this point, the y changes by decreasing by a factor of 2. And the x-coordinate changes by increasing by a factor of 4. So the slope appears to be -2/4, which is -1/2. And it's going to be -1/2 all the way through there. Okay, so we have figured out the slope of this function for all but 2 points, 2 x values. This point here and this point here, x equals -4 and x equals -2. What's going on here at x equals -4? You've got a cusp there, right? And so at x equals 4, the derivative is not going to be defined. And at x equals 2, rather -2, you have a discontinuity, and the derivative is not defined there either. All right, so let's see if we can draw a reasonably good graph. Let's see, between x equals -8 and -4, it looks like the slope is 0. So when drawing the derivative, what we need is the slopes here give us the y-coordinates down here. This is the graph of f prime of x. So for all of these x-coordinates between -8 and 4, the y value will be 0. But we'll be coming along through here. But when we get to -4, remember the derivative is not defined there, so we're going to put a big open circle there. All right, I'm going to try to make that visible. All right. Then for 2 more squares, the slope is 1. Notice, again, at -4, this derivative doesn't exist. At -2, it doesn't exist, so I'm leaving holes there. And then the rest of the way, the slope is -1/2. So that would be down here. My hand slipped right here. I apologize for that. But make sure you leave those open circles to indicate that the derivative of the function does not exist there.